Hey, it's I don't know what's Arson. This is the very first episode of my new series about making a video game with HTML5. So in this video we'll cover the basic of programmation, and the very first thing I will do is tell you what tools you will need to create your own game. Then after that I will do a brief introduction on HTML5, so what it is exactly, and then I will start teaching you the basic of programmation with HTML5. Okay, so there are two things that you will need to create a game. The first one is a browser. If you're watching this video, then I guess you already have one, but the one I highly recommend to get is Google Chrome. The main reason is that it has a really good debugger, it's a fast browser, and all the functionalities that I will show you in this video will work in Google Chrome. The second thing you will need is a notepad. So right now I'm using Notepad++. This is the software that I recommend. It has a lot of functionalities, very useful for programmation. But if you don't want to download it, you can use the regular one that comes with any Windows PC. It will also work fine. Before I get started with the code, it will be important to know what HTML5 is exactly. So HTML5 is a mix of three different languages. The first one is HTML, and then there's CSS, and finally JavaScript. So the role of HTML in this trio is to tell the browser, for example Google Chrome, what element to display on the page. Then there's CSS that will tell the browser how to modify those elements so they look visually different. And finally there's JavaScript, that is all the programmation. So it's the part of the script that will manage the variables, that will update what's on the screen, that will take input. It's the dynamic part. My goal with this video series is to teach you how to make a video game. So I won't put a lot of focus on HTML and CSS because you don't really need them to make a video game. Nearly everything is done with JavaScript. So we'll skip a lot of things with HTML and CSS that will normally be important when making a regular website, but for a video game, the two languages are pretty much useless. So now I guess we can finally start programmation. So the first thing I want to cover is canvas. So basically a canvas is a rectangular box where you can draw things, draw picture, draw rectangle, and draw text. And this is the support, the visual support that we will use with our game. In order to add a canvas into our page, we will need to use this line of code. So this is in HTML, and this is the only line of HTML that we will use in this entire video series. Everything else will be made in JavaScript, so I won't really spend a lot of time explaining you like the syntax, but long story short, you create a canvas with a width of 500, a height of 500, and a border. Now let's check out how this line of code looks in a browser. So simply save the file. The name doesn't matter, but it's very important to put .html at the end so you tell the browser that this is indeed HTML stuff. Then you want to open Google Chrome and you simply want to drag your file into a new page, and there it is. You have your canvas with nothing inside. We haven't put text or code to write things on it, and that's what we will do right now. So now it's very important to understand that we are switching languages. So now this line of code is in HTML, but in order to draw things, we will need to use JavaScript. And to tell the computer, the browser, that we are changing languages, we will need to use those things, which are also HTML, but anyway. So by using the script, everything that will be inside the script tag will be in JavaScript. The very first thing that we will need to do is to import the canvas that we have created in HTML into the JavaScript, because it's not really the same thing. In order to do that, we will need to use this line of code. It's a really complex line of code. I won't really go into the detail, but basically the CTX represent the canvas, and we can use CTX to draw things. So with this canvas you can make a lot of things, and the easiest thing to do is to draw text. So I will simply show this as an example. I will draw the word hello at the X 50 and the Y 50. So let's just save, open the browser, drag this there, and there it is, hello at 50, 50. So this is a very basic example, but there are a lot of different things that we can do with the Canva. With Canvas and pretty much everything else, there are two main categories of action that you can do. The first category is to modify settings. So in my example, the word hello was written in black, but what if I want to write it in red, for example? Then you need to tell the computer that you want to change the color, and to do this I would use this line of code. So it will change the fill style for red. So there are many settings, but those are the three most important ones: the font, the style, so the color, and global alpha, which is the transparency. The second category is more about actions, so drawing text, drawing a rectangle, or deleting everything that's in a rectangle. So those are the three main draw options that you will use with the Canva. There are many more, but those are pretty much the three most important ones. So let's just save the file and find out how this would look in a browser. So we will change the font, then the color of the font, the transparent, so it will be a little bit transparent. We will draw text, draw a rectangle that will be also red because the fill text affects the text and forms. And then we will delete a little part of our rectangle. So let's just open Google Chrome, drag the file, and there it is, hello rectangle that's deleted partially. So it's very important to make the difference between the two, and every time you want to modify settings, you will use the equal sign. So this is the equal sign, equal. If you want to do something, draw something, you will use brackets. They are totally different, and you must not mix the two, it won't work at all. And if you're wondering, if you use two slash back to back, this will create a comment, and everything that's written as a comment is not compiled, so the browser cannot see what's written there, and this won't cause any errors. So now what we will do is create a little animation. Well, it won't really be an animation at the beginning, but it will become one. So let's just delete this, actually everything. The only part that we will need is this line, so the text is a little bit bigger, so it's easier for you guys to see it, but it's not really needed. I will also need this line of code, so it will draw the letter P at the X 50 and then Y 50. So if we check this in Google Chrome, it looks something like that. Another way to do exactly this is by using variables. So variables in programmation are pretty much the same thing than in math. So in order to create one, you need to tell the browser that you have created a new variables. And to do that, you will need to use the code for the name of the variable and then its value, for example 50. And if we replace this 50 by X, this will be absolutely equivalent, because the browser will transform this X into 50. So those two lines are exactly the same thing, they do exactly the same thing. We could also draw multiple letters at the same time. So for example, I will add those line of codes. So I will draw a P at 150 and 150, 50. And by using this X, for example, this line of code is exactly the same than X plus 50. So those two things are the same, and this would be exactly the same than 50 plus 50 plus 50. So let's delete this, delete this, delete this, and find out how it looks in the browser. So let's save, open Google Chrome, put it there, and we got our 3 P's. There is also another way to do exactly this, and it's by modifying the value of X. For example, X will become 50 plus 50, and then X will become 50 plus 50 plus 50. And instead of putting 50 here, we will put something like this. So this line of code will do exactly the same thing than before, like you can see right there. So this was the old code and this is the new code, exactly the same thing. And guess what? There is even a more efficient way to do exactly this. And it's by changing the value for x plus 50, because every time we draw the next letter, we add 50 to its number. So if we code something like this, at the beginning its value is 50, then we add 50. So x, the new value of x will be the old value, 50 plus 50, so 100. And then when we'll do it once again, x will become x here, will become the old x will be 100 plus 50, so it will become 150. So let's find out how it looks. In theory it should be exactly the same thing, and yeah, it's the same thing. Another way to increase the value of x by 50 every time is to use the plus equal sign. Something like this. So this is the same thing than this. They do exactly the same thing. This is like a shortcut. We can also use the minus equal sign that will do exactly this. The multiplier, it will be this, and I guess you get the point. For example, this will be plus 50. And let's copy this here. So what if we want to add more line? Now it's very easy, it's always the same line of code. So we can simply copy paste the same thing over and over, and we will have multiple p's that will be 50 distance between each of them. So it's far more efficient than what we had at the beginning, where we needed to manually add plus 50 every time. However, even with this code, it's not fully optimized, because what if we want to change the distance between the letters to 40? We need to change it everywhere, and that's not really good. So what if instead of doing that, we simply create a new variable that will be called speed x, that will be equal to 40, and instead of increasing x by 40, we increase it by the speed, which is equal to 40, so it will do exactly the same thing. However, with this new setup, if we change the speed, we only change the speed at one place, and it will affect all the lines. So only one place that we will change instead of everywhere. So now let's just find out how this looks in the browser. So here it is, 6 letter p's that have a short distance between each other. So now what I will do is add the y component. So now it's only in the x, and now I'll add the y. So this time it's not really a big change, only adding the y and increasing the y by speed y. So the y will start at 50, and every time it will increase by 5. So if we check out how this looks, actually this was 30 at the beginning. So instead of having them all straight up, they should go down a little bit like this. So don't forget that with Canvas, this is the 0, 0, and when the y increase, it goes down. So it's not like regular math. But guess what? There is even another way to optimize this, and it's by using functions. So functions are quite complex, but for what we will do in this video series, well, actually this episode, it will be very easy. So a function, the role of a function is to repeat code that you're too lazy to write down multiple times. So right there we write this, and then exactly the same thing, then exactly the same thing. And instead of writing those 3 lines every time, you could only write one by using a function. So to create a function, we simply write function, then we write the name of the function. So let's say update, we put 2 brackets, we put this other type of brackets, and that's pretty much it. And inside here, we want to put the code that we want to repeat. So it looks pretty much like this. Name of the function, code to repeat. So we would take this, put it inside the function, and instead of writing all this, we simply call this name. So this is exactly the equivalent of what's inside the function. So instead of writing this, we simply write update, 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 and update. Now let's just save and check out how it looks in the browser. It looks exactly the same way. And to show you more visually how the code goes, I will go into the debugger of Google Chrome. In order to use the debugger of Google Chrome, you will first need to press the F12 button, and this box should appear. There is a lot of different things. Elements will tell you what elements there is. For example, my Canva. There is also the resources. I won't really cover that. Network won't really cover that. There's the source that will be very useful. You first need to click on this little button. There will be all the file. Click on tutorial.html if it's the name of the file, and you will get all the code of your script. There are two main things that you can do with a debugger. The first one is to set breakpoints. So to set a breakpoint with Google Chrome, you simply click on a number, and what it does is that when the browser will reach this line, it will stop working. If you have the debugger on, so this box on, so it will stop and wait for you to continue the action manually. The other very useful thing is the console. So it's a line where you can write things, for example y, and it will return the value of y. Let's say x actually, and y will be this, and I can pretty much write whatever I want, and it will tell me the value of the variable. Very, very useful. So let's just put a breakpoint at update. So when it will reach update, it will stop working. So we'll actualize this page. It reached update. So yeah, I've already written the first letter P because of this line of code right there. And now it's going to draw another P, but I've just stopped. So in Google Chrome, in order to go to the next step, you use this, so it will step into the function. So when it reach update, it will go into the update function and do the code right there. So it will update the X, update the Y, then it will draw the thing, and then it will exit and go back here to the next line. So it will update once again, we'll go inside the function, then come back, and inside come back, and each time the letter P will be drawn. And now it's the end of the code. I've just drawn the 6 letter P's. So functions are pretty much special in programmation because the position of them is not really important. So I could take this function, put it at the end, and it won't change anything at all. But if I take those variables and I put them at the end, then there's a big problem because the computer doesn't know the value of X. So yeah, functions are very special. The last thing I want to mention about the debuggers is the console log. So you write console log, then you write whatever you want. For example, hello, hello that way. And when the computer will reach this line, it will put hello into the console log. You can also put variables, and you can also put multiple things. For let's say I will write hello and then the y, the x value. So let's just save, open the file, drag this here, and if you check the console log, every single time that it has written the letter P, it will tell me hello and the value of X, so 80, etc. I haven't really mentioned it yet, but there is a big difference between a word that has quotation mark and a word that doesn't have it. So if it has quotation mark, then this is a text. And if it doesn't have, then this is a variable. For example, I want to write the letter X. I will need to put quotation mark. And if I don't put quotation mark, then this won't be a text. It will be the numbered value of X. So just don't mix the two. You will have a lot of problem if you do. So yeah, now we are pretty much optimized, but we still have a little problem. If we want to write a lot of letter P's, we need to copy update multiple times. Actually, one time every piece we want to write. So not really useful if we want to write like 1,000 of them. Fortunately, there's a way to do that automatically, and it's by using the interval function. So to use it, you simply write set interval, you write the name of the function, for example update, and this will be the timer, for example every 500 milliseconds, so 2 times per second. So let's just save and check out how it looks. So every 0.5 second the function update will be called. So every 0.5 second this line of code will be used. So let's just save, drag this here, and letter P's. So we write 1 every single 0.5 second. And if we add a breakpoint, we can see right there, we can go and go down. At the end, it does nothing. Press the play button, that will simply continue the program normally. Then 0.5 seconds later, we are back to the update function. We can go down, and then we are back to the update function. And we can simply do this forever, actually. As you can see right there, even though we continue doing the code, the letter P is not appearing. And this is because it's outside of the Canva. So the width of the Canva is 500, and we are trying to write something at, let's just press X. So we are trying to write something at 560, and the maximum is 500. So we got a little problem. Fortunately, there's a way to detect if the white is outside of the range, and it's by using conditions. So conditions are very, very important. They are pretty much as important as the equal sign in programmation. And to do a condition, we simply write if. You write the condition, for example, y is bigger than 500. You put those brackets. You need brackets after the if, and well, to tell what the if is, and then after the if you need another type of brackets, and inside this we will put the code that will only be used if the condition is met. If this condition is not met, then this part of the code won't be used. So let's say that if the y is bigger than 500, we will write a message that will be out of bounds. So let's just save and check out how it looks. Let's open the debugger. So we go down, we go down, we go down many times. So as you can see, when it reached there, you simply press down and it jumps. So it doesn't do this part of the code because the X value is only 410. But eventually we will get to the point right there. Is y bigger? It's exactly so. Okay, the next way. So X is now 530. So in theory, when it will reach there, it will be true. So it will go inside here, it will do this line of code, and then it will come back normally. So there we should see out of bound. And every single time now, it should write in the console out of bound. Like you can see right there, there was 5 out of bound. So right there, what I've been using is bigger, so the condition bigger, but there are many other conditions. So you can pretty much use all those different symbols. So this is the equal sign, so it's not only one equal sign. So for example, is x equal to 500? This won't work, because if you only put 1, then the x will become 500, and this is not what we want. We want to test if the two values are equal, so you need 2 equals. It's kind of tricky, but just keep in mind that inside the if you always put 2 equal sign. If you want to change the value, you put only 1 equal sign. You can also put smaller or equal, smaller, bigger, bigger and equal. And this is also another very important thing. If you put exclamation mark, then this is not equal. So this is equal, this is not equal. So if x is not equal to 500, then do this line of code. So I guess that's pretty much it about this first episode. So I've covered most of the basic of JavaScript, but obviously there are a lot more to learn. So in the next video I will cover objects, which are very important, advanced condition, function with parameters and returning values, and finally interactivity. Because right now what we have made is a movie type of web page, and next we will add interactivity, so input, so the player can influence what's going on the screen. So if you want to follow this new series, you can subscribe to my new channel called Raining Chain. I will put the link in the description, or you can also click the annotation on the screen. So see ya!